Hey there guys, and thanks for joining me today as we're finally taking a look at The Division. I've had this game for a little while now already, but I wanted to get some good hours in first before doing an actual review explanation type video on this. Now, this video is going to be for the beginners, for people who want to know a little bit about the game, what it's like, how I've experienced the game so far, and of course, you know, if you're hoping or if you're looking to buy this game, I'm hoping that you'll be interested after this video. Now, perhaps you could consider this redundant for people who have already played the game quite some. You might not be interested in watching this, but I hope you watch the video just to get a good understanding for how I appreciate the game, because I am very much impressed by The Division. I want to just cover a couple of areas actually of the game, and we'll just run through them step by step, and I'll tell you some more about the game. Now, if you don't really know what The Division is, it's a third-person over-the-shoulder shooter. I suppose that you can compare it to games like Borderlands. It also reminds me of Mass Effect, and perhaps you've heard of APB, All Point Bulletin. It's like that. It's obviously an RPG game. Not necessarily MMO, but you play online with others. You're in certain areas where you can meet people, you can matchmake areas, and when you go out into the map, you can either play with yourself alone or with a group, and it's a very cool game because it's not just a regular shooter. The cool thing about this game is that you have statistics that you can upgrade to make yourself better in different kinds of areas. There's skills, talents, perks, and that's really cool because it turns it into a proper RPG kind of game. There's damage numbers and things like that. So I'll go into all of these things in detail very soon. One other thing that's really cool about the game is that there is a cover system. So it's very important that you take cover behind objects, and the game recognizes walls so you can sit behind them and peek your gun out and do blind fire and things like that, which is really cool, of course. Now, to give you an idea of the setting in this game, it's current day. I don't know exactly what year it is, but it's, modern technology. It's in New York, and there's been, I'd like to call it a flu epidemic, but it's a disease anyway. And this disease was actually distributed or spread during a Black Friday sales day. So what happened is that they infected the money spread through the city, and obviously you can imagine that it all went pretty bad. Now, you start in a tutorial area, which is in Brooklyn, so it's across from Manhattan. And during this tutorial area, you move over to Manhattan, and that's where you start the actual game. Now, you're an agent of some sort, so you're not a normal civilian, you're not a soldier, you're an agent, and as the trailer shows you, you're someone who is only called upon when everything else has failed. So your task is basically to liberate the city from looters and such. Now, like I explained a second ago, the gameplay in this game is all about stats, and so it's not just, two shots to the chest and you kill a target. It all depends on what weapon you use. So there's different weapons. Obviously, you have a health bar, enemies have a health bar, and you focus on doing headshots for higher damage and things like that. There's a couple of different stats in the game that you can focus on to make your character better in different areas. I'll go into detail about them very soon. There's things like firepower, your health or stamina, and stuff like tech power. Now, obviously, you do need to make sure you use cover very well, and while you're in cover, you can use different skills. Now, there's aggressive skills and passive skills and support skills, and again, I'll go in detail very soon. Now, the cool thing about this game as well is with RPG games like this, you get normal players, like normal PvE characters, but you also get elites and bosses. Now, that's really cool because they require that you approach them a little bit different than just head on, and obviously this is where it becomes really important that you play with other players, which is really cool about a game like this. It's perfectly playable alone, but it is most definitely more fun when you play with others. I play it together with my brother, and I have also got a character for just myself, but as you can imagine, when you go into cover and you approach them from the flanks, and one person is more damaged while the other is more supportive, obviously you can imagine you can have some really cool stuff going on. Now, before we go into some more detail about skills and things like that, just a couple of pointers. To start with, the graphics in this game are absolutely beautiful. It's a really nice setting in the game. Obviously, the weather, it's actually it transitions from a really clear, beautiful day to extremely foggy where you can't see anything. The snow behaves really realistically. The sun shafts do as well. And there's a huge amount of detail in every part of the city because it all looks different. And wherever you go, you feel a bit mesmerized because you're walking through the city and really feel like you're a part of it. And you're walking somewhere different every time. And that's really good. There's a lot of settings, so you can downgrade the game if your graphics card isn't as good as you'd like. I purchased a GTX 980 for this game specifically, and I'm running everything on the highest settings. Audio as well in this game is absolutely amazing. They definitely put a lot of thought into making sure that the game sounds very authentic. The nice thing about this, for example, is that the gun sounds sound different depending on where you are. If you're between a lot of buildings, there's a shorter echo. If there's a bigger area in front of you, the echo is more delayed and comes at you a little later. And it also depends on where the person is who is generating the sound. So if my friend is standing right next to me and shooting, it's more of a direct sound. But if he's further away, it's more trebly and more echoey. And it sounds absolutely amazing. There's a lot of detail here. Just as the animation work, for example. These guys have put a huge amount of work in making the transitions of the character look extremely smooth. There's different animations, like holding animations for all the guns that you're using. The transition from cover to just walking looks amazing, and then when you transition between walking, running and sprinting also looks very good and very smooth, while not inducing any kind of lag on your input. So it's a huge amount of work there, which makes it a really appealing game to look at. So let's go into some more gameplay, starting with the character creation. I think a lot of people are a little disappointed here, including myself. Now, you can do quite a few things with different heads and hair, but it is relatively limited, right? So you do get people who are, they look a bit copied. They look a bit like each other. Not every head has the same hairstyles. There's only one female head that has longer hair than ear length. So that's super disappointing. So I'm hoping that there will be some additional customization options. But, if you're someone who doesn't really care about this, whatever. I think it's a third-person game, so you can swap your camera around your character, and that makes it important that you can customize it the way you want. So how does the character system actually work? You don't select a character type when you start your character. You just start with the same stuff all the time. But there are some really important things. So we'll look through the menu and you'll see stuff like armor stats, right? So if you put armor on, there's different clothing pieces that you can put on your character. They'll actually deduct part of the damage that you receive. So it'll mitigate a certain percentage. Now you can focus on 3 areas, and your armor clothing that you put on also contribute points to either of these. So you have firepower, which increases your DPS with your weapon. You can focus on stamina, which increases your health. Or you can focus on tech power, which increases the strength of your skills. Either healing skills or damage skills or cover skills, they all get better. Now, these tech points, you don't necessarily have to use them. If you would rather focus on firepower, for example, you could do that, but they are very important nonetheless. So how does that work? You've got skills, and you can select a maximum of 2 for your Q and E button, and then a final one when you've unlocked everything for your character, and you assign that to the T button. So we'll go into detail about them in a second, so you know a little bit how it works. But besides the skills, we also have talents. So you unlock talent slots as you level up your character. Obviously you level up, right? And you start with a single one, and you can select one while unlocking perks or talents for your character. You can select a certain talent, right? And then there's perks. Perks are also unlocked while unlocking certain things for your character, but they are always active. Think about stuff like gaining some extra XP or being able to hold an extra med pack. Those things are always active for your character. So let's go into detail for the skills, and I'll show you exactly what's what. So you can actually do the medical skill tree. This allows you to heal your friends through direct heals or an area heal, as well as reviving your fellow group mates. You can do the tech skill tree. This is all about damaging other players through using I would call it like a bomb that you launch through a little gun. There's also a seeker mine that rolls up to targets, and there's a very cool turret that you can put down, and it shoots at other targets. And then there's the last one. I think it's called the tech tree, but it's more about tanking, really. You can get a shield, like a SWAT shield that you hold out in front of you, and basically it's all about tanking. You know, you can increase the strength of a certain cover you're sitting behind, and make sure that you gain the aggro, so your healer guy doesn't get the aggro. So that's pretty cool. Now, how do you actually upgrade your character? That's very important, right? Because it's not as generic as any or other RPG. You don't actually level your character, but you level up your base of operations. This is where you start, right? This is where you chill out and you know, just review how your character is doing. The base of operations is this really cool building with three wings, right? You've got the medical wing, the tech wing, and then the security wing, or the tanking wing, if you will. Basically, by doing missions and encounters, you get points, and these points you can spend to upgrade one of the wings, and it actually changes what the wing looks like, making this base of operations look better and better as you upgrade your base of operations and thus your character. So before we look at how exactly you get these points, let's look at the menus, because it's, like I mentioned, a little different than what you're used to. It's not as intuitive as you might think, but once you get the hang of it, it's really logical and very simple. The nice thing about it is that it's made for using either a controller or just the WASD keys. It reminds me of Elite Dangerous, because you also use your WASD keys to browse through your menus, and it's just very intuitive in that way. So you've got the inventory view here, where it shows you your weapons and your armor pieces, and it shows you if you've been in a dark zone, what items are there. Now, I'll talk about the dark zone in a second, but it's very easy to see where everything is and what you need. There's also another screen, which is the intel screen. It shows you about things that you've picked up in the game, and it's basically just side information about how the storyline evolves, and I'll go into detail about that in a second. So let's look at PvE. How do you get these points? I mentioned before that you need points to upgrade your wings in the base of operations. You do this through doing main missions. They give items, but they also give these points that you need. You've also got side missions. They don't give any points. They just give really nice items, and they're very helpful for making sure that you can level up a little quicker, as they yield some experience. And then there's encounters. Now, these encounters also give these points that you need. So how do you locate these? What are they exactly? Let's look at that by opening the map. And here's something that's actually easy to miss. When I first played with my brother, we didn't really understand that there was actually a very logical order of playing this game. We just looked at the map, saw icons, and started walking to them and doing them. But that's not actually what the game is designed to play like. See, the nice thing is that the whole map is divided into sectors. And if you hover over them, you can actually see the level indication of what kind of PvE enemies you would find there, and so that'll be an indication for when you should be there exactly. Now, the nice thing is that each of these sectors have safe houses, and basically what you will do is you'll go to the very first sector, which is the lowest level one, and there you'll find a safe house. You'll go into the safe house, and inside of the safe house, you'll find two things that are very important. You'll find an intelligence officer. He'll give you side missions, so when you talk to him, all of the side missions for that sector are revealed on the map. Then there's also a really cool board. It's like a map. You look at the map, and it updates your little heads-up display with all of the encounters in that sector. So you don't actually have to roam around until you find these encounters. No, they're all uploaded to your map. Basically what you do is you then clear the sector by doing all of the side missions and the encounters, and that intelligence officer is going to say, thanks for helping the safe house, you did a great job, you should go to the next safe house. That will put you into the next sector, and it gives you a very logical way of clearing the map. Now it's very logical when you're doing it, and it's very therapeutic to clear the map of all the missions, and it gives you a very satisfied feeling, but you have to know it, and it's very easy to miss. Now, the very cool thing about this is that you find intel along the way. Now, this is not interesting for everybody, but intel is stuff like phones on the floor. You listen to them and you hear these phone conversations, or there's echoes, which are like projections in the world. They'll show you what happened there. There's missing agent files that you can track and find. There's laptops with videos on them, survival guides, crashed drones where if you shoot at them, you can loot them and get some XP. Now, they're all additional stuff that not everyone will be as enthusiastic for as I am, for example, but I have a perk that where I clear all the side missions, I get all of the intel revealed on the map for that sector. So after I do these side missions and encounters, I'll go through the entire map to pick up all of the intel and clear the map. And that leaves me very satisfied before I move on to the next sector. So you do all this, you're playing and you're getting stronger and you're playing with your friends, and it's time to challenge yourself. What do? You want a PvP, right? Now this is where the Dark Zone comes into play. If you look on the map, you'll see a couple of sectors on the map which are red because they're blocked off. And when you walk around them while you're doing PvE, you can actually hear shooting inside and shouting, and you see helicopters flying over, which are about extractions, and I'll go into detail about that very shortly. And it's very cool and very schemy, and you wonder what's going on in there. So what happens is when you go into a dark zone, your heads-up display starts flickering a little bit, and basically you're all on your own. This is where PvP is enabled. You can go in with a group, so you can't actually hurt your group mates. So when you're in the dark zone, you'll see that it's divided into sectors as well. And it's very important that you don't go into a sector where the level is too high, because all of the AI in the sector is elite, I would say, because they have armor and they're very difficult to kill, and it's not recommended to do it on your own. So they have a lot better loot, of course, and you'll find bosses spread around over the sector, so you can go and kill the boss, get some really good loot. But you can't just walk out of the game. You can't just walk out of the sector and use it. You have to extract it. So you go to one of the extraction zones, you launch a flare, and within about 1 minute and 20 seconds, or a little bit more perhaps, a helicopter shows up and you can extract your loot by hanging it on a cord. Now, it's not as easy as it sounds, because when you do an extraction, it'll actually alert AI to come and see what's going on, because they see the extraction going on, but also other players. And other players can just shoot you, kill you, and take your stuff. Now, they will turn rogue, or if you shoot someone, you will turn rogue, and you'll get a bounty on your head, and you can lose a lot of XP. Now, I've played a lot, and I really enjoy it, but I'm nowhere near endgame, and there is a lot more complexity behind this about what kind of gear you can get, where you get them, and I'm not going to go in detail because I just lack the information, and I'm sure you can find more information about this on the internet, but I do think it's something you just got to go with and experience it for yourself, because that makes it a really thrilling, exciting, and nerve-wracking experience. Standing in an extraction with 4 other people looking at you like, are you going to shoot me? Am I going to shoot you? It's just awkward. Look at this little bit here. You'll see a guy accidentally shoots me, goes rogue.
Hij is rogue. Hij schoot op mij.
He stares at me. He stares at my brother. He gets nervous. What's gonna happen? And
hoe dit werkt. Hij denkt, kut, what the fuck, shit.
We end up just walking away. But it's really interesting, and it gives you a really nice sense of, oh shit, what do I do? So I'm about 35 hours in now. I played with my brother, but I also played another character on my own. Judging by the map and the way I've gone through all the sectors and picking up all the intel, I think I'm about 40% done with all of the content. So I think when you go through the entire map, you'll have at least 100 hours in, and then you've still got endgame stuff, and obviously there's some season expansions coming. But all in all, in general, this is a really incredible game. I love playing it because it's pretty fast-paced, but it's RPG. It looks nice. It sounds nice. It actually promotes playing with friends and skilling your character in either healing or tanking or doing DPS, high damage, and it's just a lot of fun. Not all of the enemies look the same, so when you go to different areas, they look different, and they look like they belong to a different gang, and it's just really cool. When you die, it's not too punishing. I like that personally. You just get sent back to the save house and you have to make it back to your friend. There is fast travel in the game, which makes it easy to go from one area to another, and things like that make it not too punishing if you have to go from one bit to the next. So I definitely recommend the game, and I hope you enjoy it. You can definitely expect more videos coming out now that I did this review. I found it very important to do a review first before giving you just random bits of gameplay. But if there's anything specific you'd like to see, I'd like you to comment below and tell me about it. And for now, I'm going to thank you for watching and wish you a very good day. See ya!